government schools have closed down eventually after this crazy year we've had. Many of homeschooling parents have wound up their years as well. And I thought that we could talk a little bit about one of the favorite quotes that you share often and how it applies to homeschooling and looking forward into the next year and looking back over the previous year. And the quote is?
That mistakes are only mistakes if you don't learn something from them. And I think when we start out homeschooling, even when we're a couple of years in, we're always learning. And sometimes in life, the best lessons you learn are the lessons you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And our school conditioning taught most of us that mistakes are wrong and mistakes are bad. And I think that's why we have to remember that actually that they're not bad if you can learn from them.
Yeah.
The only bad mistakes are the ones that you don't learn something from.
Yeah, and then repeat them. You know, it's that's where we don't want to get caught in that little loop. So if we look back on our years homeschooling, there are a few things that stand out in terms of repetitive mistakes that we've made. We've seen other homeschooling moms make. They confess to these things on Facebook. Oops, sorry. And one of those, and the point of the discussion, I think, to say is that we all make mistakes. It doesn't matter whether you have a YouTube channel and write a curriculum or whether you're a mom in the background just quietly plodding through their day with the children. We all make mistakes. So some of the ones that we've done ourselves and noticed is around buying too much curriculum, buying too little curriculum, buying the wrong kind of curriculum, which we can discuss in a minute. The other thing is either doing too much for our children or expecting too little from them, adding in too many extramurals, adding in nothing, no social activity. So if we just sort of unbundle these things, let's start off with curriculum. What's your best advice for a parent who buys something that just is choking her and her children?
Throw it away, resell it. No, it's a common mistake, and many people start out buying something that they think was the best, or it had the best salesman that convinced them to buy it, or they thought it was going to be good because they paid a lot of money for it. And in the end, as you say, it's choking the joy out of homeschooling. So it's hard to let go of those things, especially if you did pay a lot of money for it. But the years come and gone, so hopefully you've plotted your way all the way through, and now you can put that aside and start over next year with something new. And the advice that I think we always give homeschoolers year in and year out is kind of just to relax. They all think that they're not doing enough, and they generally overfill their children's plates academically and in all those other ways as well. Yeah. And often you just need to think, what's the most important thing? And maybe just focus on that for a season. And then when the joy has returned, then you can add in the optional extras.
Definitely. The other thing, which probably wasn't too relevant this year because of lockdown, but is extramurals. There were seasons in our home where we did too many, and the stress pretty much falls onto mom being the taxi driver and having to pay for them. And, you know, if kids are a bit reticent to go, then it's the nagging, the pushing to get them to go and that sort of thing. I know a lot of parents ended up with online things, from an online choir group to, you know, music practice to art classes and all that sort of thing. So the impact was there. And one of the things that I've always advised parents to do, particularly when the children are young and they haven't really honed in on what their special extramural will be, whether they're going to be a ballet dancer or whether they're going to play guitar or be an artist or whatever. We like to kind of expose our kids to a lot of things so that they get the feel of it. But often those become expensive and very stressful. And what I like to advise parents is that you do one thing that is physical to build their bodies and one thing that is creative or cultural. And those don't necessarily need to be organized, professionally organized events, but sometimes it's nice. So you can drop your kid off in a safe environment with somebody that can watch over, and then you can rush off and go and do grocery shopping or pick up the library books or whatever it needs to be done. Have you ever gone through the seasons where you've done too much and just felt that really frazzled feeling?
I think it wasn't too much. It was just I had too many children. But there were some years where it was rather busy.
Yeah.
I was the taxi driver, and they were all in different directions. But
Yeah.
things shifted, and we sort of teamed up with other people to do driving, and then it's got easier. And now there's only 3 left of school going age. Some of the others have got their own driver's licenses, so it's not so bad anymore. Yeah, but I think you always like to mention that quote from Marilyn Herschel.
Oh, you want me to tell it now? Yeah. So and Marilyn Herschel talks about when a mom is frenetic and there is just no peace in her home, no peace within herself. And she says you need to power back until the peace returns. So if you found yourself at the end of this year feeling like it was too much, either in terms of a curriculum choice, or in terms of extramural, just cut it back. Opportunities always come around again. If you miss the outing this Friday, a month's time, 3 months' time, even next year, it'll come again. So just power back. It's more important for you to be a peaceful presence in your home than it is for us to do a myriad of activities. What is the last one that I mentioned? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just thinking sometimes it's also the mom who has to cut back her own activities because a lot of us take on more than what we should.
Yeah.
And that does make us feel a little bit stretched as well. It's not only the children's activities, it's our own involvement in things. Yeah. So sometimes we have to just learn to say, no, not now, not this season.
Yeah. And it's hard, especially if you love new projects, love new ideas, even helping people, being involved in charities. It's really, really hard to say no. But I look back, my oldest is 26, and I can't believe how quickly the time has gone. And just to rather be in your home, present with your children, loving them, learning alongside them, is much better than trying to serve everybody else. The time will come when they're all done with school and you'll have that available to yourself. The last thing that we should probably just quickly touch on is doing too much or doing too little for your children. What do you have to give on that?
Well, it's either one or the other. And I think the other thing that goes along with that is that we either nagging our children constantly because they're not doing what they should, instead of just enforcing a consequence, or we're feeling sorry for them and letting them get away with not doing things, but then we end up being frazzled because the things that should be done aren't being done. So it takes, I think one just has to stop and think, what am I doing and what isn't working, and then change your strategy. Whichever side it is that you're falling off the track.
Instead of just keep on banging your head on the wall, that's not going to change anything. Hopefully that's given some folks some things to think about for next year. Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I think just stop and ponder and relax and enjoy the little Christmas break, and then you can make all your goals and plans again in the new year.
Oh, fantastic. Lovely chatting, Shirley.